Hello viewers, today we're going to be cleaning and servicing a Lasko box fan. This is a very old one. It probably dates back to the 1950s, and I don't think it has ever been cleaned or serviced at any point in its life. And so it does have some odd 70 years of filth within it. So this is going to take some time. It's a bit more of a complex unit. It does have some issues, so we're going to have to figure those out. This is a paper tag, so this can't get wet, so cleaning the top of it's going to be kind of a nuisance, because the whole thing really needs to just be washed in the bathtub or something, and we can't exactly do that. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a test run, just so we have a comparison of how it operates before and after the video. And I'll plug it into the kilowatt meter. I'm not sure if we're really going to see any difference, but when it's this bad, sometimes things happen. We'll go to watts, and I'll start this thing up on the high. Moving plenty of air, even in its filthy state. It's 181 watts now, so we'll say about 180 watts is going to be the power draw at full power. Now, I tend to think that this may be a capacitor run motor, because I find it hard to believe that a shaded pole motor could output that much power with only 200 watts approximately. It just doesn't seem right to me. And I think that we said this has a sticker on here. Yeah, it's only rated for 1.6 amps, so it's drawing the amount of power it's supposed to draw. So, I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out now. So, let's begin the disassembly. Everything here is just absolutely filthy. There's dust coating everything. Even these screws are dusty. And I'm going to have to figure out how this oscillation contraption works, because it's not operating correctly. Okay, so that's that, and now we have a dilemma already, because the blades, I don't think, are going to be able to fit through the ring on the back, so they'd have to come out through the front, but this oscillation thing is on the front. So I'm going to try and see if maybe I can undo these bolts and that'll release it. You know what's amazing is that so far all of these screws are coming out with ease, and none of them are rusted or locked or anything like that. Let's see if that did anything. Doesn't really seem like it did anything. Maybe. Oh, there's one more. Okay, so that did release it. Let's see if I can release it from the top as well. Okay. I don't know how this is attached to the motor. Seems like it would be willing to come out if it would fit through the cabinet, but it's not going to. Alright, let's try going in from the back. See if I can remove anything from the back. Maybe I can get the blades off from the back. In fact, yeah, I guess these do have to come off. And same with these screws, they're coming right off easily. That's kind of unusual for screws that haven't moved in decades. Okay, so here's the issue, is that the blades, I don't think they're going to fit through there. Let's see. And that's a metal, that's your metal clamps on there. Well, let's release those. Huh. Those are strong. Not sure we're getting those off. Oh, it did come out. Okay. Okay, so the blade slipped out through the back. I don't want to flex that wiring too much. I think that these clamps are going to have to come off in order for me to clean the guards. Oh man, this is really bad. I haven't seen something this bad in a long time. Those are strong. Not even staples are made correctly anymore. There's just nothing made like it used to be. Okay, that's off. Now Um, the blade's got to come off. That will probably be the most difficult part to do, because although everything else has been coming off pretty well, I'm sure the blade is locked on the shaft. It's usually what happens. Jeez, I can't even see where the stinking... There it is. Well, this is promising. That loosened up real easy. You gotta be kidding me. It's gonna come right off. That's amazing. There is blades made 5 years ago that won't come off of shafts, and that just came right off. This truly is probably one of the best box fans ever made as far as the quality is concerned. It just can't be beat. It really can't. The blade is filthy, but look at the construction. And it doesn't even bend. It's as solid as can be. And it's not even that heavy. I thought for the spin down time it was going to be really heavy, but it's not all that heavy. Now I suspect back in the day when this was sold, this would have been like chrome shiny. I'm not going to get it back to that state today, I don't think, but that's probably what it once was. Alright, now let's get the motor off of this guard. You know, I want to open the motor for servicing, but at the same time, I mean, there's no reason to. It's not even like, it doesn't even show signs of needing service. But I gotta open it up to get all the dust out of there, I think. Okay. Alright, so here's the motor. What is that? I really want to know what that is. This is crazy. Alright, so now, geez, it's going to be hard to get those things out, because I don't think the shroud will come out of there. At least I don't think it's intended to. Okay. Well, it's opened up now, and let's see here. We'll take the control panel off the top. We can do that. These switches should just kind of pull off. Okay, and then let's see. Maybe these two screws will release the handle, I think. Looks like that's all one unit. Okay, and just for reference, these things were sitting in here, like that. I don't think they were sitting where the screw goes through. No, I guess they would have had to have been. Yeah, they would have. Yeah, the screw went through these things. It's going to be fun trying to get that back together. Yeah, the handle. I think the handle can just stay in place. There's no reason to take it out. Okay, so now we're getting into the control set. Okay. Okay, that will release these pieces inside there, and they sit in there just like that. And we got another one down there at the bottom. So this bigger one was on the right if you're looking at it, from the back. All right, so now inside we have the controls, which don't really want to mess with because they're working, and we're going to have the mechanism for the oscillation up here. And I'd like to just take that apart because it's not working. I'm going to try undoing these two bolts up here. And let's see if that will release the motor. I don't see how to detach it, but if I can get it out as one piece, then I can work with it a little bit better. Okay, it's out now. That doesn't at all solve the problem because I'm just going to figure out how to remove the unit as a whole. There's nothing here is really interested in coming out. This is free. This is no longer holding it in place. Which is it just created another issue. I think it's going to have to go in like that and then pull out from this side because of the way the controls are at. It's just about ready to come. It's like needs a hair more space. I preferred that tip to not break, but oh well. Ah, here we go. Okay, now we need to see if there's some way to detach any of the stuff that's in here. Well, one wire just came off. Losing bolts here. Two washers. Looks like they went right on there. Oh, this is just wire nutted on here. Okay, that's easy enough that we'll just undo this wire nuts and remove it. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to have to figure out what's wrong with this thing. Why isn't this running? It looks like it's just a basic straight-up pole motor. It'd be nice if we could disassemble this somehow so that I could clean this with at least some degree of ease. But it's not looking like it comes off. I don't see any screws, I don't see any bolts. It's riveted here at the flex point. Perhaps if these are bolts here that'll come off, perhaps I can get it off that way from the back. Is this in the frame? Not really. There we go. Well, that's interesting. Well, look at that. The bearings on this shaded ball motor are perfectly good. Isn't that incredible? Now, what I don't quite understand is what that does, because unless it's just like a friction drive kind of thing. I mean, there's nothing, there's no key here of any kind that would turn anything in there. I don't get that. And I can't see inside of there to see what's going on. So unless this motor just isn't running for whatever reason, I'm going to pull this out. Oh, jeez. If I put this in here, there's nothing that's happening. And I don't understand what would happen, because there's nothing here to catch anything. There's no key, there's no flat part of the shaft, there's nothing. So what does this, how does this work? Someone's going to have to explain this to me, because I don't understand it. There's just no way that this would do anything. I mean, I can feel it's not grabbing anything. That doesn't make an iota of sense to me. I can hear it. The gears are moving. Obviously it needs a lubrication in there, but it is working. The gears are still working. What I don't understand is, how does the input... See, it's definitely working. What I don't understand is, how does the input from the motor here get transferred to that? Because there's nothing... It's not catching anything, and I don't see how it would. So I don't get that at all. Hopefully somebody can explain that to me, because I you know, without being able to take this apart and look inside there, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do, I just have no idea. I hate taking this tape off after it's been on there for so long, but the motor needs to come off of here. Okay, so now that's separated from there. And this is just astounding, the amount of dust that's on here. I've seen a lot of pretty bad fans over the years, but this is ridiculous. And look at that. Half of the air is going to be getting through there with that like that. That's incredible. And it still runs, and it's not even complaining. That is wild. Alright. Not really sure how to clean this. I don't want to get it wet. I don't necessarily think it has to get wet to clean off, but at the same time, I don't know what to do here. May just take it outside and blast it with some compressed air or something. I did some cleaning, some dry cleaning and some wet cleaning, and I'm going to stop here for this video. I'm going to put it back together. I have to gather some information. I have to get an understanding of the way that oscillating mechanism works, because it doesn't look like it's supposed to come apart, and so I don't want to try to get it apart if it's not supposed to come apart. But if I don't get it apart, I can't learn how it works. So hopefully somebody out there, there's a couple of people I could think of that may know how it works. Hopefully somebody can explain to me how it works. The other problem is this is going to take a very, very long time to clean up. This took about 10 minutes to get it like that, and then as you get towards the outside here, it starts to rust a little bit and don't come off as easily. So that's going to take some time to clean up. We're starting to get some rust on the inside of here and on the inside of here. That's all got to be sanded down and repainted. And so this is not a evening project after work. This is like take it apart and work on it for a couple of weeks kind of deal. So I'm going to put this back together for now because I don't want to forget how it goes, and then when I have more time we're going to revisit it and give it the proper restoration that it deserves, because I don't want to do a crummy job and throw it back together, and that's what would happen if I try to do it today. So since I have a number of other fans floating around that are evening projects, I would rather do those and then get to this another time. So let's see if I can get everything back in here, and we'll go from there. So this, I believe, this one on the other side. This goes in on this side, and I think that it mounted up in this corner over here. Yeah, so now we've got to play the game of getting this to go back in. That was very difficult. It was very difficult to get this to go in correctly, or to come out. Let's see if it's just as difficult to go in. Yep, it's going to be just as bad to get in as it was to get out. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Alright, so the motor, which is MIA at the moment. Here's the motor. Let's reassemble this mechanism first. This is going to sit up in here like this. And this thing, this is the problem. There's no key or anything on there that would appear to grab the gears, so I don't understand how that works. And when I put this in here, there's no resistance, there's no friction, so it's like it's not doing anything. So I don't understand that at all. So if there's somebody out there that understands that and knows how that's working, please let me know. Okay, so we had these nuts here that went on after this. Yeah, this motor is turning freely, so if it's got power to it, it ought to run. And so perhaps I should try to make that happen before I wonder if I should try to run this motor before I reassemble it. I guess it doesn't really make a difference. So that, I believe, is sat in there like that. Yeah, that makes sense. And so the wiring would have come out there. You know, it's possible that the motor will run and it just magically works. I don't know why the motor wasn't... I don't recall hearing the motor running before. But I'm not sure if I would have heard it over the blades. Okay, so let's get this put back up here where it needs to be. Okay. think I can turn this upright with the motor disconnected. Nah, not enough slack. Put any strain on that wiring. So we'll just have to put this on like this, which is not ideal, but sometimes that's the case. Just like the video frame was not ideal just then. Okay, so that's in place, and I mean, the louvers themselves are free to move. At this point, the only thing that's holding it in place is the motor. So I tend to think that if it's running, if the motor is going to run, and it works off of some kind of magic, it'll work. Yeah, the gears are free. It's ready to move, so it's all up to the motor working and whatever that crazy mechanism is that, I don't know if it's a clutch or what do you want to call it. The motor's spinning freely right now, I can feel it. So unless that gearbox is busted up or whatever, I'm guessing it just runs on some kind of mechanical magic that I don't understand. So let's see, I'm going to connect it back up here and let's see what happens. It's worth noting that this copper wire here is not tarnished in this absolute slightest. You know, there really is nothing made today that's built at the same quality level. This is, even the wire was a better quality back then. Okay, so that's together. I'm going to plug it in here and see if I can engage the oscillating, and we'll just see what happens. Let's see here. I should have it turned the other way so that I can see the controls. Make sure nothing is screwed up in here. I think it's okay. Some of these switch leads are cloth wiring, so that probably should be replaced, but I think for now it's fine. Alright, let's plug this up and see what we can do here. And it is a capacitor run motor, there's a capacitor in there. Okay, so I don't know what is what now. Okay, it's running. That's not very useful. There's a lot of power in here. thing shouldn't be live. Let's try plugging it in the other way. Nope. Okay. That's great. And that's like, that's hot. That's not even, that's bad. I mean, it's not like, it's not shocking me, but I don't think there should be all that much electricity floating around there. Alright, so that motor, I don't know if the motor is open or what, but the motor was not running, and I can't tell if there's power going through the switch or not because of the situation with the electricity in there. So we're going to have to look into that further another time, because that didn't really give me any information at all. Okay, so let's finish reassembling this. A little disappointed. I would have liked to have done more with this today, but I'd rather save it for the time when I can allocate the amount of time that's needed to properly fix it. Because if this thing was really cleaned up correctly and repainted, this would be a beautiful piece. And these are getting rare too. There's not a whole lot of these left. Why, I don't know. I guess people just threw them out when they get dirty, which is unfortunate. Because unlike the stuff that we have today, this was not made to be discarded when it got dirty. Now if that sheet of pull motor is busted up for whatever reason, probably could source a replacement, but in order to do that I would need to know the way it interacts with that gearbox. And I'm just baffled at how it interacts with the gearbox. I really have no idea. I hope somebody out there will know so that they could explain it to me. So then I'll know so I can fix it. This, I think, is going to be a total nuisance to get back on. Or not. It'll go together perfectly easily. Okay, that's nice. Alright. This guard is also supposed to be the same color as the blades are. You can see it kind of cleaned up a little bit right there. So this is going to need to be stripped down because it's, oh there you go, you can see the original color right there. Nice, I don't know if it was really shiny or not, but it's like a light colored metal. This may have to be wire brushed or something. You could try pressure washing it, that may do it. There's a little bit of rust starting, and I don't want that on there at all. So, it's a project piece. It's going to be a big project, but when we're done with it, it's going to look great. The motor, I think, how did the motor orientate itself? I think it would be like that, I guess. It would make the most sense. So put this being like this. And I think too for the motor, it's getting to the age where I want to revarnish it. So the motor should be split open, the windings should be cleaned off, and they should be revarnished. And that's a long production as well, because you got to wash it first, and then it has to dry for a long time. You know, if you put some power through there, you know, like 40 volts or something, put some power through there so it heats up a bit, and then it's got to be hot for a while to let all the water, you know, all the cleaner completely evaporate, and then you revarnish it, and it's got to dry for some time. So that's got to happen as well, and that's kind of a lengthy process as well. So it's just going to take some time to get this cleaned up, that's all. It needs a lot of work. None of it's like hard to do really, just time consuming. I think for now I'm just going to put these, I guess I got to put this clip back on. I don't intend to run it at all really until I get it fixed. Not fixed, but you know, properly serviced. But I'll put these clips back on anyways, I guess. Maybe not. This is proving to be kind of an annoyance here. Let's see if I can get it to go on here. That's going to be good enough for now. Okay. I'm probably just going to replace those with something else because I just don't like the way that it is. Okay, so let's get the blade back on. And this is marvelous to me how the blade just slips right on and off the shaft with no trouble at all. Absolutely incredible. And the motor, of course, needs to be oiled. Well, it doesn't need to be, it should be oiled. And so I will oil it before I put it into service. Okay. Really get concerned about the way this wire is. These leading wires are, you know, because they're all cloth and they're getting flexed more than they should be. So we may have to look into that too, redoing that. Not even redoing it, but just like slipping string tubing over them or something. Because I would hate for a short to develop in this thing and then the motor gets screwed up. Yeah, so you can see this is mechanically, this is working, but there's a motor issue. Geez, and I want it to be angled, I want it to be straight. Let's see if I can get it to go back. Go. Jeez. How am I ever going to get that out of here without having to take this whole thing apart? It's so heavy, I don't think I can turn it over fast enough to really get it out, but I'm going to try. That didn't do exactly what I wanted, but it got it to the point where I can get it out. This is moved over one. Should be on that one. Okay. Got back together in one piece. Can kind of see through the guard now, and it should move a lot more air than it did before. It's far from where it needs to be, but it's a lot better than it was. Camera freak show right there. Let's plug this thing up and see how it runs now. It was powerful before, but it should really throw out some air now. Oh, it's blowing out a bunch of dust too. Okay, that's the low. Say a whole ton more because it was already moving a lot of air, but it's definitely working better. And of course it should be oiled, but bearings don't seem to have any complaints at this current time. Okay. I really kicked up some dust. Okay, so it's in a lot better shape than it was. It still has a long ways to go, but I need more information, so if anybody knows about how that oscillating mechanism works, let me know, because I don't really understand it. Now, I suppose, well, I could very easily modify that and just replace that shaded pole motor with like one of those low RPM synchronous motors and just mount. I mean, it'd be really easy to do that, and if I have to do that, I'll do that. I'd rather keep it original. I'd rather learn how that thing works and fix it, but maybe I'll have to just replace it with something that works. But anyways, this is going to be a big project. It's going to take a long time to really strip everything down, sand, to repaint everything. The blades are going to take some time to clean up. All well worth it, and I will be done. But this may be one of those things where I'm going to wait to do this until I have a new shop where I have space to open something like this and leave it apart for some time, because I can't really do that in here. If I take something apart, it's got to be done by the end of the day, and I just don't have that kind of space in here. So anyways, that's it for now. This Lasko box fan. Much more to come on this in the future.